This is the most fun legal document I've ever read, ever. It's the people who put this together must have had so much fun. It is a 32-page missive on what a little bitch Drake is and how he needs to get over himself and go home. If you are not aware of what the allegations are in the main lawsuit, I have a video. In fact, I have a playlist for Drake. Go listen to that video. Long story short, Drake is suing his record company and Kendrick's record company, same company, for defamation regarding Not Like Us. And this is the record company's motion to dismiss that claim, which is a very strong motion, and I think they're probably going to win. Also, if you're new here, I have bias in this case. I'm a Kendrick stan. I love Kendrick. I'm going to his concert. Kendrick is my dude. Drake puts out nice music. He's a perfectly fine rap artist. Kendrick is an artist. And so I want UMG to win, but I do think that this is a very interesting case in terms of the legalities, and it does relate to Lively Baldoni because it's talking about defamation. So if you need to refresh yourself, go watch the video about what Drake is complaining. So I'm going to read you the intro, and this is basically what the whole document is like. Plaintiff, it's Drake, one of the most successful recording artists of all time, lost a rap battle that he provoked and in which he willingly participated. Instead of accepting the loss like the unbothered rap artist he often claims to be, he has sued his own record label in a misguided attempt to salve his wounds. Plaintiff's complaint is utterly without merit and should be dismissed with prejudice. So that's the motion. You started it, you perpetuated it, you did the same exact shit to Kendrick that you're claiming he did to you. Get over it, it's free speech, nothing to see here. That's essentially the motion to dismiss. So the main argument here that UMG is making is the lyrics to Not Like Us cannot be the basis for a defamation action because they don't involve facts. They involve opinions. As hopefully we have learned from Lively Baldoni, people are allowed to drive by our house. In order to have a defamation claim, you have to say that something was false, right? There has to have been a false statement of fact. So if something wasn't a statement of fact to begin with, it can't be false, ergo it can't be defamatory. That's what Ryan Reynolds and Leslie Sloan and the New York Times are arguing in their motions to dismiss in the Baldoni case, and that is what UMG is arguing here. So UMG is arguing this is a rap battle. These are rap lyrics, these are diss tracks, this is hyperbole, it's art, it's for purposes of satire and entertainment. Nobody thinks the lyrics to Not Like Us are fact. They are opinion, and therefore they cannot be the basis for a defamation action. That is the primary legal argument. The whole thing is a fantastic read, and it has the lyrics in there, and like, oh my God, it must have been so much fun. But there's one line in there that I really like, and this kind of sums up what their argument is. Like the many notorious diss tracks throughout rap's history, Not Like Us consists of a series of hyperbolic insults. So it's like, this is what rap is. This is what diss tracks are. This is how it always goes. So the motion goes through the whole history of the whole battle, from first-person shooter all the way through. Now, the judge needs that because the federal judge who's ruling on this probably doesn't know any of this and needs somebody to explain to him. So they go through and do all of it, and they talk about the lyrics, and they talk about where the lyrics got elevated and where the insults got elevated, and what Drake's actions in that was to show that Drake knew that this was all opinion because he was doing the exact same shit that Kendrick was doing, right? So they talk about, like in Family Matters, for example, which is the one that came right before Not Like Us. Family Matters is where it kind of got really ugly because that's where Drake started saying about Kendrick that he beats his wife and that one of his kids might not be his, right? So they're like, he's the one who elevated it. They were just calling each other short and not black enough and stuff before. But Drake is the one who made it bad. Then he clutches his pearls when the response is, you mess around with underage girls, which, by the way, everybody already knew. And then Drake does the Heart Part 6, where he goes back to the domestic violence stuff again. So they go through the facts and they reflect what's in the complaint, because this is a motion to dismiss, so it's only what's in the four corners of the complaint, to say, look, even if everything this guy says in his complaint is true, they were both doing the same shit. It's not like they can put out 10 different diss tracks, but one of them is the base for defamation and all the rest of them are opinion. Like that can't be how it works. And they make a pretty good argument about that. One thing that they really focus on, and I don't think I really knew about this, is when they were in the midst of it, it was early in the battle, and Drake released 2 songs on Instagram. One was called Tailor Made Freestyle. And they had, they used AI to make it sound as if it was coming from Snoop and made it sound as if another one was coming from Tupac. And they were basically like egging Kendrick on, like, you haven't replied yet, like trying to get him to reply. And in Tailor Made Freestyle, the Tupac voice actually said, you know, Drake messes around with young girls. Why don't you talk to him about that? So in that song, Drake actually said to Kendrick, why don't you try to diss me about messing around with underage girls? So he brought all of this shit on himself. He can't now say it's false that I mess around with underage girls when he said that himself. They talk about the history of rap battles in general, just so that the judge knows that, like, Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown didn't get along, and Megan and Nicki don't get along. And, you know, that even Drake has had battles with other people like Meek Mill. So, like, this is not something new. Again, this is how this game works. This is how rap works. This is how diss tracks work. It's been going on since rap was invented. The legal argument then becomes, this is all just opinion if you look at it in context. And the context is entertainment artistry, right? So they cite to cases that are brought against like shock jocks, like a Howard Stern type person, and say like, yeah, they use vulgarity and they use insults, and sometimes they even use like racial epithets, but that's part of what the audience is expecting. Nobody thinks what they're saying is true. They know that it's part of the game. It's part of that type of entertainment. UMG relies very heavily on this case. I vaguely remember where Michael Rappaport sued Barstool Sports because one of their people said that he like beat his ex-girlfriend and that he had herpes. And that got dismissed because they were like, these are shock jocks. That's what they do there. And it got dismissed at the Southern District of New York, and it got affirmed all the way up to the Second Circuit. So UMG is like, this is just another one of those. This is just another one of those where like entertainers are riffing and bitching about each other, and then one of them gets mad and sues for defamation. But he can't be held accountable for that because they're all just engaged in this type of conversation. Here's something I didn't know. The line, you know, certified lover boy, certified P, it's actually P's plural. Certified lover boy, certified P's. And one of he talks about Baka the Nice right before that. And so the argument UMG makes is the line is certified lover boy, certified multiple of these types of people, including this guy Baka the Nice that you hang out with, who has been convicted of assault on several different occasions. So even if we were looking at whether something was true, the line is about multiple people, and at least one of them actually has been found responsible for this crime. So that was an interesting piece I didn't really realize. They talk about the video for Not Like Us, and how the symbolism in the video actually proves that it's opinion. Like when he's hitting the piñata, it's an owl. It's not actually Drake. He's not saying anyone should actually go out and hurt Drake. He's hitting an owl piñata. It's all symbolism. The one thing I didn't agree with is, you know, the cover art for Not Like Us, where it's like Drake's Toronto house and then it has all little pop-ups for the registered offenders. They said that's opinion too, because nobody thinks that's true. Nobody looked at that cover art and was like, oh, there's that many offenders living at Drake's house. I mean, I know it's art, but I was like, I don't know, it could be true. So I don't know that they were right on that. I don't think it matters. They then go on and make other arguments, you know, like you can't show actual malice, right? Because remember, for actual malice, for defamation, you have to have known something was false. Well, opinions can't be false. So there's no way for him to allege or show actual malice. And then they address these other little things that Drake threw in about like harassment because people came to my house. And they basically just say like, dude, that song does not incite anybody to violence. It doesn't tell anybody to hurt you. It doesn't make anybody hurt you. We have a right to have free speech in this country, including these lyrics. And you know that better than anybody because you've done it a million times, and UMG has a right to promote their own songs. So it's a very good motion. I think it's probably going to be successful.